Tonight, a high-risk COVID exposure notice issued for Waiala. And Port Augusta bursts with election candidates as major campaigns launch across the state.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with Ruby Kamain begins now.
Good evening. South Australian health authorities have identified a hotel in Waiala's western suburbs as a high-risk exposure location. The announcement comes as the state welcomes vaccinated overseas arrivals from today, with the international border now open.
It's a sign of things to come in terms of easing pandemic restrictions. Australia's international border reopening today, with returning expats and tourists now welcome if they're double vaccinated. Premier Stephen Marshall says he's ready to welcome international visitors to the state.
Well, we're super excited that the international borders have finally been lifted. This international border has been very punishing on families and individuals, on businesses.
Amid the excitement, last night, health authorities identified a popular hotel and eatery in Waiala's west as a high-risk exposure site. A close contact visited the Westland Hotel Motel on Sunday, February 13 between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. SA Health has urged anyone who was at the hotel within that time period to monitor for symptoms and get a PCR test if symptoms develop. The recovery of international tourism to places like the Eyre Peninsula, Far North and the York Mid-North now on the agenda.
It is going to take some time for international tourism to recover, but it starts today. People are pretty excited.
The Premier saying the state has new facilities to accommodate a projected influx of visitors from overseas.
We've got some great new facilities. We haven't been idle while the borders have been closed. We've got fantastic new hotels, new experiences in South Australia, right across the state.
Authorities hopeful to bring back an international flair in the Spencer Gulf. Mark Zita, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
This weekend, streets throughout our region were transformed, with candidates' campaign posters going up across their electorates. In 26 days, South Australians will go to the polls, but with electorate lines redrawn this year, there are a lot more faces to get to know.
Election season is well underway.
The Governor of South Australia fired the starting gun for this next election.
Nothing quite signals a return to the polls like this. Tumby polls dressed with signage everywhere. This weekend, parties plastered the street with corflutes and banners hoping to get the edge over their political opponent. With voting lines redrawn, this year Port Augusta will be split right down the middle into the Giles and Stewart electorates, seeing the town covered in more faces than ever before. The Environment Minister says he's concerned about the impact the excess plastic will cause.
Creating visual pollution along our streets and main roads throughout the electorate. I led the charge to have these banned.
The signs must be taken down the day after the election. This weekend, local Labor and Liberal candidates also travel to the city for their party launch rallies.
Our state election campaign is now underway. Our hospital system and our health workers, and most importantly our patients, cannot wait 4 more years.
It's very important that we keep growing our economy and those job opportunities, and we make South Australia even stronger into the future.
South Australians will go to the polls on March 19th. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Tumby Bay's Deputy Mayor has officially taken over the reins, while Sam Telfer tries his luck for the seat of Flinders. As the youngest ever elected member for that council, Hannah Allen Jordan says she's finally getting her chance to be the voice of the community.
A grand task for the newly appointed Deputy Mayor of Tumby Bay. However, the challenges of local government are a familiar sight for Hannah Allen Jordan.
I've been on council for 7, coming up 8 years now, so I do know a fair bit about local government, but I never had any intentions of running for this role, but there was an opening.
Hannah was the youngest ever elected member for the Tumby Bay District Council at just 21 years old. Now, nearly 8 years later, she will get her chance as acting mayor of the township.
I'm so passionate about our district and I'm so passionate about our community, and I am really proud. I don't look to go any further, but I just felt that I was the right person to represent our district.
saying the Liberal candidate for Flinders has been a positive role model.
Obviously worked with Sam since I was elected into council. He's given me some great pointers and he's a great soundboard for me as well.
But it won't be all smooth sailing, with a busy few weeks on the horizon.
Tumby Street Art Festival coming up soon. We also have a couple of projects going on at the moment. The Causeway project, which is going along really well.
Hannah says she isn't forgetting her roots.
I'm just really looking forward to working with the team in council with the fellow councillors and the staff.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The South Australian Government has announced a multi-million-dollar strategy to help school students guide their future career pathways. $20 million will be set aside for the Career Education Strategy. Programs will be set up for grade 7, 8, 9 and 10 students. It's aiming to complement the industry-endorsed Flexible Industry Pathways and the recently launched Students Pathways website. A driver is set to face court after allegedly blowing more than double the legal alcohol limit at Sejuna yesterday. The 40-year-old local man was stopped by police who were conducting traffic duties on the Air Highway. A breath test allegedly returned a positive result of 0.114. The driver was reported for drink driving and was issued an immediate loss of licence for 6 months. He'll be summoned to attend court at a later date. Meanwhile, a 59-year-old driver will face court after being nabbed allegedly speeding at Red Hill over the weekend. On late Saturday night, officers pulled over a sedan, allegedly travelling 141 kilometres per hour on the Augusta highway in a 110 zone. Police say the male driver was on a learner's permit and an unrestrained child was in a bassinet. He was breath tested and returned an alleged blood alcohol reading of 0.024. Still to come tonight, Eyre Peninsula councils receive extra funding for disaster relief. And unmarked World War I graves restored in Port Augusta. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. 3 Eyre Peninsula district councils will receive a further boost to their disaster relief funding to repair infrastructure damaged by recent floods. The Kimber, Cleve and Franklin Harbour local authorities will receive a share of $19 million.
It's a major lifeline for one of the worst affected communities from last month's unprecedented rain event. The District Council of Kimber receiving extra disaster relief funding to help rebuild and recover from flood damage.
There are still a number of roads that are impassable in our district. There's still significant water areas across paddocks and roads and through farms as well.
The South Australian Government allocating $19 million in extra funding on top of the federal government's disaster relief. Kimber, along with the district councils of Cleve and Franklin Harbour, sharing the extra funds.
Disaster funding to be approved this quickly is just remarkable. They've recognised that our small councils can't responsibly do this by ourselves.
State authorities also increasing their level of assistance to 90% of the total cost. In a statement, Primary Industries Minister David Basham says the extra support will allow the district councils to undertake critical repair works immediately.
It's everything we've asked for. Really, really pleased, and this gives us surety moving forward and making sure our community bounces back.
Mark Zeta, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A special ceremony has taken place in Port Augusta to honour our region's World War I heroes. The Headstone Project has travelled to the city to find and acknowledge soldiers in unmarked graves.
Giving the honour they deserve. This weekend, Port Augusta took a moment to remember 17 forgotten soldiers left in unmarked graves. New headstones assembled by a team of volunteers finally naming each man and acknowledging their service.
Frequently these men died in circumstances where there was either not much money during the Depression and families had to consider whether they'd put food on the table or put a marker on a grave.
Those 17 heroes were been lying there for a long time and nobody even knew.
The South Australian Committee has identified 50 soldiers' graves scattered across the state, saying many of the soldiers came back with PTSD.
Shell shock it was called then, and became estranged from their families and wandered off and finished up in graveyards all over the country, a long way from loving families.
Distant families were reconnected by the Headstone project, coming together to honour their long-lost heroes.
24 one family, and their families have replica medals.
Organisers say it couldn't be done without dedicated locals and team members who help verify service credentials and track down families.
At the end of the day, this is for the families. It's not for us, it's not for anybody else but the families, to give them a reconnection with a long-lost forebear.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill, along with other regional councils, are fighting for more affordable housing in mining communities. The More Than Mining campaign has launched its next phase, aiming to help regional voices be heard.
It's a campaign. Broken Hill's mayor hopes to benefit the community. The City Council, part of the Australian Mining Cities Alliance, along with councils in Isaac, Mount Isa, Karratha and Kalgoorlie.
They're cities that have significant mining history. So from there we got involved in that project, and that project's going to be one that I hope benefits the community as a whole well into the future.
The campaign isn't only aimed at affordable housing, but also for businesses, by removing inequities from the fringe benefit tax, hopefully leading to more people moving to cities like Broken Hill.
If you're earning, say, $80,000 and pay off a $30,000 mortgage, $30,000 a year off your mortgage, your taxable income then becomes $50,000, which will encourage a lot of people to move to Broken Hill and buy houses.
The campaign calls on the federal government to create a regional tax incentive to drive regional relocation, slow population churn, and smooth out the volatility of housing prices. With housing becoming more affordable in regional and remote mining cities, this means other services will get a boost.
It won't just be fly-in, fly-out workers. It'll make it a lot easier for doctors, nurses, teachers, police. If you come out and put 10 years into Broken Hill, you'll own your own property.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Broken Hill's Mosque Museum opens amid restrictions lifting. And yachts hit Spencer Gulf waters for the Adelaide to Port Lincoln race. I'll see you again soon. Welcome back. With more restrictions lifting across New South Wales, Broken Hill is seeing a number of venues return to pre-COVID opening hours. Last week it was Synagogue of the Outback Museum, and now the Mosque Museum has also returned to its normal opening hours.
It's been a week of reopenings for the Broken Hill Historical Society. Last week, the Synagogue of the Outback went back to 3 days a week, and now the Mosque Museum is also open. The museum's caretaker saying he's happy to open the doors after 9 months.
I've had a lot of people ring up in that time that want to come and have a look, and I just had to tell them that it's closed down.
The Mosque Museum is a heritage listed site, offering an insight into Broken Hill in the late 1800s, a history Mr. Shemroz loves to share with visitors and locals alike.
Feels good. Yeah, I enjoy the people coming in and giving a talk to and telling them a bit of history about the place.
The museum is open on Fridays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m, but can also be open up for people on other days by booking an appointment.
I come over whenever people want to come over. Mainly all of my customers, they ring up. And when they ring up and if I'm available, I'll come over and open up for them.
Now they're open again, the caretaker has outlined what he'd like to do.
My aim is to try and get some of the school classes here so they can learn a little bit about their history in Broken Hill.
For more on the Mosque Museum, head to the Broken Hill Historical Society website. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The prestigious Adelaide to Port Lincoln yacht race saw plenty of sailors compete over the weekend. Boats from across the nation took to the seas at the Spencer Gulf to battle it out for one of sailing's top prizes.
Setting sail for the high seas. The 72nd Adelaide to Port Lincoln yacht race was certainly competitive. However, it was Matt Allen's Itchy Barn that took out the Teagle Classic, crossing the finish line just after 3 a.m.
Kind of around the corner from the wharf, neatly hidden little finish. It's really quite the race. They've managed to pack in virtually every aspect of offshore racing into one race.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Coming in just 20 minutes behind the front runner was second place Secret Men's Business. The skipper happy with how his crew sailed over the 156 nautical mile event.
We had a couple little hiccups that probably cost us a mile or two. Other than that, the boys performed really well, very happy, and let's see what happens when we have the short races in the regatta here. I think we'll be much closer.
The conditions favouring the larger yachts. However, all crew members of the 25-boat fleet were feeling the pinch as they crossed the finish line in the early hours of the morning.
Unfortunately, didn't get in front of SMB this year, but two great races year on year, and it was hard work.
We had a few issues during the night. Most boats do, but yeah, look, we enjoyed the conditions this year a lot more than last year.
Ichiban finished the race in 12 hours and 29 minutes, the victory coming after their success in winning the Sydney to Hobart last year. Boats will remain in Port Lincoln for the rest of the week to compete in the regatta.
It's a great week over here, so we're here until Thursday, and always enjoy sailing here on Boston Bay, enjoying Port Lincoln hospitality.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Port Augusta Basketball Association has had to stop competition amid continuous COVID outbreaks. Multiple close and casual contact implications for players and officials have recently seen 23 games postponed. The league will undertake a 2-week pause on the competition to act as a circuit breaker prior to the return for the final 2 rounds and finals. Officials say this provides the best chance to finalise the season. Stay with us, more sport after the break. We'll have all the scores and highlights from weekend cricket. And Alex Sykes will join us with the weather details. I'll see you with more soon. Welcome back. Turning to cricket now, and the race is on in Port Lincoln to determine the final spots. Ladder leader Southern Air showed why they are the premiership favourites on Saturday, with a clinical win over bottom place Todd River. John Hunt has more in this week's Cricket Wrap.
Batting first, Southern Air posted a competitive 7 for 184 from their 45 overs. Roger Puckridge top scoring with 53. In reply, Todd River just couldn't get any partnerships going, bowled out for just 103. Damien Green starring for Southern Air with the ball, taking 4 for 13. In the other match, Tasman thrashed Waybacks by nearly 200 runs to stay in second place. Moving over to Whyalla now, one hosted 2 on Saturday at Bennett Oval. North Whyalla taking the points with a comfortable 6-wicket win over Rapina. Tom Balderstone top scoring with 59. Meanwhile, West Whyalla were outclassed by Central Whyalla. The Roosters winning by 6 wickets after restricting West to just a measly 40 runs. Isaac Smith starring with the ball for Centrals, taking 4 for 12 from just 10 overs. In Port Augusta, West survived a scare to upset Central Stirling on Saturday. After bowling out Central for just 72, West were cruising at 3 for 52, before quickly losing 5 for 13. West getting home by just 2 wickets. Quorn, on the other hand, got the job done over South, Liam Burry leading the charge with a game-high score of 63. Across the border in Broken Hill, it was the last round of the regular season. Central booked their spot in the grand final, defeating North by 5 wickets. North will now face West next week for a spot in the decider. West warming up for that clash in style, defeating lowly South by 71 runs. And finally, in Port Pirie, Port Germain gave their finals chances a boost with a win over Southport. A half-century from Simon George helping the Sharks to 8 for 140, before they bowled out Southport for 120. And Proprietary stunned Wandera to record a narrow win.
Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather. Here's Alex Sykes.
Thanks, Ruby. And it was a gorgeous sunny start to the week, and those conditions look set to continue throughout the week. Dare I say, summer has well and truly set in now. At 3 p.m. today, Port Augusta was partly cloudy and 25, Port Lincoln was cloudy and 20, and Cooper Pedy was sunny and 27 degrees. Looking further out across the region now, while it was partly cloudy and 22, Broken Hill was mostly sunny and 26, Port Pirie was partly cloudy, also 26, Adelaide was cloudy and 20, Woodnum was 24, Kadina and Cleve were both 19, Clare was partly cloudy and 20 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, low clouds scattering across southern South Australia in cool southerly winds in the wake of a front is bringing a few showers. Mostly clear skies elsewhere under high pressure. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. South to southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas around 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swells 1 to 1.5 metres. Sunny in most parts tomorrow, cloud clearing in Port Lincoln and 23 degrees there. Sunny in Cleve with 25, Woodna is set to reach 29, while it'll be sunny with 28, Port Augusta with a high of 31 degrees, Kadina to top 29. Port Pirie will get to 30 degrees, Clare 29, and Broken Hill will reach 32 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, and as I said earlier, those sunny conditions will continue for the next few days. Port Pirie and Woodna will both reach 34 on Wednesday, mostly sunny in Broken Hill, where it'll get to 33 degrees, Port Lincoln 27, while at Kadina and Adelaide will be 32 degrees. It will be partly cloudy in Port Lincoln on Thursday, where it'll reach 25, Cooper Pedy with a high of 39, Port Augusta, Woodna and Broken Hill all set to be 33, Port Pirie 34 degrees. A look at Friday now, mostly sunny in Port Augusta and Woodna both to reach 33, partly cloudy in Port Lincoln with 24 degrees there, and Port Pirie and Broken Hill will both be mostly sunny and 34 degrees. And that's all the weather from me for tonight, Ruby. Let's hope that that forecast continues through to the weekend. It's back to you.
Lovely. Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday evening. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening, and we'll be back tomorrow with more local news. Good night.